The alien armada entered the system in perfect formation. Thousands of ships moved as one, their hulls glowing with cold light. They had crossed many stars to reach this place. The species here was listed as young, divided, and weak. Humanity. A simple conquest. The commanders expected fear, chaos, and easy victory. Instead they found silence. The system was quiet in a way that made even veteran officers uneasy. No patrol ships rushed forward. No weapons fire. No desperate signals. Only planets turning slowly in the dark and a dead moon drifting near the edge of the system. Long-range scans showed no defenses. The armada pushed deeper, confidence returning with every passing second. Then the sensors caught something. It was near the dead moon, almost hidden by its shadow. At first it looked like debris. A dark shape without heat, without movement. The scanner struggled to lock onto it. The object was large. Too large. Larger than any ship the aliens had ever built. Larger than their flagships combined. The commanders ordered a full scan. The results made no sense. The object had mass readings that broke known limits. Its structure was dense, layered, and reinforced beyond reason. Power readings were low, almost non-existent, as if the ship was asleep. No energy signatures. No active weapons. No response to hails. Some officers laughed. They said it was an old wreck. A forgotten relic of a failed species. The armada adjusted course and continued forward. Then the object woke up. Space around the dark shape began to change. Light bent slightly as if pulled inward. The ship did not move, but it felt closer somehow, like a massive predator opening one eye. A low-energy pulse rolled across the system. It was not an attack. It was not even strong. But every alien sensor screamed in warning. Ships across the armada reported errors. Targeting systems reset. Navigation maps blurred. For a brief moment, the perfect formation wavered. The laughter stopped. The object slowly emerged from the moon's shadow. It was long and angular, built like a moving fortress. Its hull was scarred, not polished. Marks of old battles covered its surface. Not damage from weakness, but from survival. This was a ship that had been hit before. Many times. And it had endured. As more of the ship came into view, its true size became clear. It dwarfed the largest alien carriers. It was not sleek. It was not elegant. It looked heavy, solid, and final. A machine built for war, not for display. Still, it did not fire. The alien command channel filled with urgent voices. Orders overlapped. Some demanded an immediate strike. Others called for retreat. The High Commander watched the silent ship and felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Fear. No species built something like this by accident. No young race created a ship this large and hid it in silence unless they wanted it to be seen only at the right moment. The human ship's hull began to glow faintly. Lines of light traced across its surface, slow and controlled. Power levels rose, steady and calm. There was no surge, no rush. Just certainty. The alien armada locked weapons. Nothing happened. The human ship did not react. It did not dodge. It did not shield itself. It simply waited, as if the idea of being attacked did not concern it. Then a signal spread across every alien channel at once. Not a demand. Not a threat. A presence. The translation systems activated on their own, forced open by a signal so clean and strong it left no room for error. A human voice spoke. It was calm. Measured. Almost polite. You are in protected space. The words were simple, but the tone carried weight. The voice did not ask who they were. It did not ask why they had come. It spoke as if the answers were already known. The alien commanders tried to respond. Their signals went out, but the human ship did not reply. The silence returned, heavier than before. Somewhere deep in the alien fleet, a ship lost engine power for half a second. Then another. Then another. The failures stopped as quickly as they began, like a warning tap on the shoulder. The message had been clear. The armada froze. Thousands of ships hung in space, weapons ready but unmoving. No one fired. No one advanced. The human warship drifted forward just a little, enough to show intent without aggression. The High Commander realized the truth too late. This was not a defense fleet. This was not a desperate stand. This was a single ship. One human warship had stepped forward to meet an entire armada, and it had done so without urgency, without fear, and without calling for help. That was what terrified them most. The aliens had fought many wars. They knew bravery. They knew desperation. They knew last stands. But this was different. This was confidence built on experience. This was a species that had survived long enough to learn when silence was more powerful than fire. The human ship powered its systems down slightly, as if to say it did not need all of them. The glow faded, but the presence remained. Heavy. Unavoidable. The Armada stayed paralyzed. In that moment, every alien commander understood the same thing. Humanity had not hidden because it was weak. Humanity had waited because it had learned patience. And now it had chosen to be seen. The silence before first contact stretched on, and no one dared to break it. The alien armada remained frozen not by force but by doubt. Seconds passed, then minutes. No weapons fired. No engines burned. The human warship held its position, drifting with slow purpose as if time itself abated. The silence pressed against every alien mind, heavier than any shield. The High Commander ordered another scan. This time, every sensor was pushed beyond safe limits. The data flooded in and immediately contradicted itself. The ship's mass shifted depending on angle. Its internal structure appeared layered, then folded, then deeper than expected. Compartments led nowhere. Power conduits looped back into themselves. It was as if the ship had been designed to confuse anyone trying to understand it. Engineers whispered among themselves. This was not advanced technology. This was something else. This was technology built by a species that had survived long enough to stop caring if others understood it. The ship's outer hull showed signs of repairs made with different materials from different eras. Some scars were ancient, others fresh. This warship had been alive for a very long time. It had not been replaced. It had been improved. Again and again. Humanity did not abandon its weapons. It refined them. A junior officer spoke without permission. He asked why such a ship was alone. No one answered him. The question echoed through the command deck. A ship like this should lead a fleet. It should be guarded by escorts, shielded by carriers, supported by supply lines. Instead, it stood alone, facing thousands of enemy vessels without hesitation. That realization broke something inside the alien command structure. If this ship was alone by choice, then it was not afraid of being surrounded. A ripple of energy pulsed from the human warship. Not outward but inward. Alien sensors struggled to track it. The pulse slipped through shields without resistance, passing through hulls as if they were air. It touched every system, every weapon, every engine, then vanished. Reports exploded across the fleet. Weapons were online, but target locks refused to engage. Missiles armed themselves, then disarmed. Plasma cannons charged, then lost focus. Every system worked perfectly on its own, yet refused to work together. The Armada had been disassembled without being damaged. The human ship sent another message. You are experiencing a demonstration. The words were simple. The meaning was not. Panic spread. Some alien captains tried to override their systems. Others attempted manual control. Nothing worked. The Armada was still capable of movement, but only at a crawl. Any attempt to accelerate triggered automatic shutdowns. The human warship moved again, closing the distance. With every meter it advanced, alien confidence collapsed further. The ship's surface shifted slightly, plates adjusting, as if it were preparing for something that had not yet begun. The High Commander ordered a retreat. The command went out, but the fleet did not move. The realization struck hard. The human ship was not blocking them. It was allowing them to stay. Leaving was a privilege they had not yet earned. A long pause followed. Then the human voice returned, unchanged in tone. This is not an attack. Some alien officers almost laughed at the words. Their fleet was helpless. Their weapons were silent. Their engines were under someone else's control. This was not an attack, then what was? The answer came without being spoken. This was control. The human warship began transmitting data. Images. Records. Fragments of history pulled from open channels and long-forgotten signals. The alien command screens filled with scenes of human conflict. Cities burning. Fleets clashing. Worlds lost and retaken. Wars fought not once but repeatedly. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself many times. And it had survived every time. The images showed something else as well. Human ships fighting enemies larger than themselves. Outnumbered. Outgunned. Still advancing. Still adapting. Still winning, not through raw power alone, but through stubborn refusal to yield. The alien commanders watched in silence. This was not propaganda. It was too messy. Too honest. Too full of loss. Humanity was showing them the cost of resistance. The message shifted. You were detected long before you entered this system. The High Commander felt cold. The humans had known. You were allowed to approach so that you could see. The human ship powered up another system. Space around it darkened as if light itself was being drained. The alien sensors finally identified it. A containment field of impossible scale. A weapon designed not to destroy ships, but to end battles before they began. The ship was not built to win wars. It was built to prevent them. The human voice spoke again, quieter now. Turn back. No threat followed. No countdown. No raised weapons. Just a statement of fact. The alien armada understood the unspoken truth. If they refused, the human ship would not chase them. It would end them where they stood. Cleanly. Completely. The confidence returned to the human warship systems, not as aggression but as certainty. It did not need to prove itself further. For the first time since entering the system, the alien commanders agreed without argument. They ordered a full withdrawal. Slowly, carefully, the Armada's engines responded. Movement returned. Formation broke, not in panic but in humility. One by one, the ships turned away from the human warship. The humans did not pursue. The warship remained where it was, silent and watchful, as the Armada retreated out of the system. Only when the last alien ship crossed the boundary did the human vessel power down its systems and drift back toward the dead moon. The aliens left with their fleet intact. They also left with something far worse. Understanding. They had not faced a hidden species. They had faced a patient one. The alien armada had withdrawn, but the damage was already done. Across their fleet, silence replaced victory chants. Ships moved through open space like wounded animals, careful and slow. No one spoke of conquest anymore. Every commander kept seeing the same image in their mind. One human warship standing alone, unmoving, unafraid. The High Command called an emergency council while the fleet regrouped beyond the system's edge. Leaders from different species appeared on shared holo displays. Their faces showed confusion, fear, and disbelief. The plan had been simple. Enter, overwhelm, destroy. Instead, they had been stopped without a single shot. They reviewed the encounter again and again. Sensor logs. Power readings. The strange pulse that slipped through every shield. No matter how many times they analyzed it, the conclusion was the same. The human ship had allowed the encounter to end peacefully. That meant it had other options. That thought frightened them more than any weapon. As the council argued, a signal cut through their encrypted channels. It did not force its way in. It did not break their systems. It arrived cleanly, politely, as if knocking on a door that no one remembered opening. The human warship was calling them. Some commanders demanded the channel be closed at once. Others argued that refusing would be seen as weakness. In the end, fear made the decision. They accepted the transmission. The same human voice spoke again. It was not raised. It did not carry pride. It sounded tired. This message is not meant for intimidation. The council listened in silence. You entered our space because you believed we were unprepared. No accusation followed. Just a statement. You were wrong. Images appeared across the displays. Not battles this time. Star charts. Trade routes. Borders. The humans revealed how far their sensors reached, how long they had watched the Armada gather. Timelines showed decisions made years in advance. Defensive lines built quietly without announcement. Humanity had not reacted to the invasion. It had expected it. You saw one ship, the voice continued. That was intentional. Murmurs spread through the council. One ship had stopped them. The idea of more was unbearable. The images shifted again. The human warship appeared in different locations at different times. Old recordings. Some showed it damaged, burning, still advancing. Others showed it escorting smaller ships, placing itself between danger and civilian worlds. This vessel is not our strongest, the voice said. That single sentence struck harder than any weapon. Several alien leaders tried to speak at once. The human voice did not stop them. It waited. Let them struggle. Let them understand. Finally, the High Commander asked the question everyone feared. How many do you have? There was a pause. Enough. The answer was simple, but it carried finality. The human voice continued. We did not reveal ourselves because the galaxy was not ready. Every young species follows the same path. Expansion. Fear. Violence. We followed it too. The images returned to human history. Not glory. Not triumph. Collapse. Recovery. Rebuilding. Again and again. We learned, the voice said. Slowly. Painfully. The council saw humans fighting themselves, then stopping. Saw treaties formed after destruction. Saw technology turned inward toward defense, not conquest. We do not rule systems, the voice said. We protect them. One alien leader broke composure and demanded proof. demanded to know why humans should be believed. The human warship answered by doing nothing. Seconds passed. Then space near the alien fleet shimmered. A small distortion appeared, no larger than a fighter craft. It lasted only a moment. When it vanished, a nearby asteroid field was gone. Not shattered. Not burned. Gone. The human voice returned. That was a fraction of a non-combat system. The council fell silent. If we wanted your armada destroyed, the voice said, this conversation would not be happening. The meaning was clear. The humans were not asking for peace. They were offering it. The voice softened just slightly. You will leave this region. You will mark it as protected. You will share what you witnessed. A pause followed. And you will remember why we spoke first. The channel closed. The alien council remained frozen long after the signal ended. No one celebrated survival. No one argued strategy. They had crossed a line they did not know existed and had been pushed back without punishment. Orders were sent across the fleet. The region was marked. Warnings were added. Records sealed, then unsealed again. The truth would spread. Had to. As the armada dispersed, whispers followed them. Stories formed faster than official reports. Crews spoke of a ship that controlled space itself. Of a species that waited until it no longer needed to shout. Far behind them, the human warship remained near the dead moon. Inside there was no celebration either. No cheers. No speeches. The crew returned to their stations, calm and focused. They had done this before. The warship adjusted its course slightly and resumed silent watch. Humanity did not chase fear across the stars. It let fear travel on its own. The alien armada scattered into hyperspace, but the fear followed them. In distant systems, captains replayed the encounter again and again. They slowed the recordings, enhanced the scans, argued over theories. None of it changed the truth. One human warship had controlled the battle without fighting it. Back near the dead moon, the human ship remained still. Its vast hull drifted in shadow, power signatures reduced to a quiet hum. To an outside observer, it looked dormant again. But inside, the ship was fully awake. Deep within its core, human officers reviewed the encounter in silence. No cheers. No relief. Only careful analysis. This was not a victory. It was a confirmation. The ship's captain stood before a wide tactical display. She was calm, but her eyes showed the weight of responsibility. Humanity had stayed hidden for a reason. Every time they revealed themselves, the galaxy reacted the same way. Fear first. Aggression second. This time had been no different. She ordered the final phase to begin. The human warship activated a system that had not been used in centuries. It did not charge weapons. It did not raise shields. Instead, it opened channels across known space, sending a signal so precise it avoided panic but impossible to ignore. The message traveled quietly. It reached listening posts, trade hubs, neutral relays, and even pirate networks. It did not force itself into systems. It waited to be found. Those who listened received the same message. Humanity existed. Not as a rumor. Not as a myth. As a fact. The message included no threats. No demands. Only a record of what had happened. Raw sensor data from the alien armada itself. Proof that could not be dismissed or altered. The galaxy began to react. In distant councils, leaders watched the recordings with disbelief. They saw the armada freeze. They saw systems fail without damage. They saw a ship that never fired a weapon. Fear spread faster than war ever had. Some species panicked and began strengthening borders. Others sent scouts toward human space, careful and respectful. A few tried to hide the information, but it leaked anyway. Truth always did. Back on the human warship, new signals arrived. Dozens of them. Requests for contact. Offers of trade. Demands for explanation. Threats from those who still believed in force. The captain ignored most of them. One signal caught her attention. It was from the same alien coalition that had led the armada. They were requesting terms. The ship's senior officers gathered. There was no debate. Humanity had prepared for this moment long ago. They knew what came next. The human warship answered. The alien leaders appeared again on the shared channel. They looked different now. Less rigid. Less certain. The High Commander spoke first. You demonstrated power without destruction, he said. That is unusual. The human captain listened without interrupting. The commander continued. Our analysts believe your ship could have destroyed us. The captain nodded once. No denial. Then why didn't you? The commander asked. The answer came without hesitation. Because war teaches the wrong lesson, the captain said. Survival teaches the right one. The words unsettled the council. The captain continued. You expected a battle. If we had given you one, you would return stronger next time. You would adapt. That is what living species do. She paused. We chose a different outcome. The alien commander asked the question that had been haunting them since the encounter. What was that ship? The captain's expression did not change. A guardian. The council waited for more. None came. One of the alien leaders demanded to know if the ship was a prototype. No, the captain replied. Another demanded to know if it was a flagship. No. The truth was worse than either answer. The captain spoke again. That vessel is old. It has served for generations. Newer ships exist. Silence filled the channel. The aliens had hoped the warship was rare, unique, a miracle they might never face again. It was not. The alien commander lowered his head slightly. Not submission. Recognition. What do you want? He asked. The captain answered honestly. We want distance. We want time. And we want you to remember this encounter. She leaned forward. We will not expand into your territory, but we will not allow you into ours. The terms were clear, fair, unavoidable. The alien council accepted. The channel closed. On the human ship, no one celebrated. The officers returned to their duties. The crew resumed long rotations. This was not the end of anything. It was the beginning of being watched. The captain walked alone through a long observation corridor. Outside, the stars burned quietly. Humanity had stepped into the light again. That always carried risk. She stopped before a sealed chamber. Inside rested the system that had frozen an Armada. The weapon that never fired. It was not designed to kill. It was designed to end wars by making them unnecessary. Humanity had learned, through centuries of loss, that the strongest weapon was not destruction. It was restraint backed by certainty. The captain placed a hand on the glass and spoke softly, to no one in particular. Let's hope they understand. Far across the galaxy, alien ships spread the warning. Systems were marked. Borders were redrawn. A new phrase entered galactic language. Protected space. And behind that boundary, the human warship returned to silence, waiting patiently as it always had for the next test. The galaxy did not stay quiet for long. News of protected space spread faster than any fleet. Traders whispered about it in hidden channels. Pirates joked about it until they saw the recordings. Military councils argued late into their cycles, replaying the same moment when an entire armada had frozen without a shot fired. Fear does not always stop aggression. Sometimes it makes it more careful. Beyond human space, a smaller power began to move. Not part of the defeated armada. Not bound by the agreement. A minor coalition that believed the stories were exaggerated. They told themselves the humans had staged everything. One ship could not truly control a fleet. There had to be tricks, deception, weakness hidden behind confidence. They decided to test it, not with a fleet, with something deniable. A remote mining system sat near the edge of human-protected space. It held no major worlds, no fleets, only automated platforms and civilian crews. The coalition sent mercenary ships under false flags. Raiders with no clear origin. If the humans reacted, the truth would remain hidden. If they did not, the myth would collapse. The attack began without warning. Mining platforms went dark. Civilian ships sent distress calls before being cut off. The raiders moved fast, confident that the humans would hesitate, that one ship could not be everywhere at once. They were wrong. The human warship near the dead moon did not move. Instead, space itself responded. Across the mining system, sensors detected strange fluctuations. Navigation data became unreliable. Raiders found their ships drifting slightly off course, corrections failing by small but growing margins. Weapon systems reported errors that vanished when checked, only to return moments later. The mercenary captains grew uneasy. Then the human message arrived. It was not broadcast. It was targeted. Each raider ship received it alone. You are violating protected space. Some laughed. Others swore. A few tried to flee. None of them could jump. The human warship had not traveled to the system. It did not need to. It had reached out through space in a way the galaxy had not seen before. Not by force but by influence. The raiders realized too late that they were not fighting a ship. They were inside its reach. The human voice returned, unchanged in tone. You have 30 seconds to power down. Several raider ships fired anyway. Nothing happened. Their weapons discharged, but the energy bent away, dispersing harmlessly into space. Missiles lost guidance and drifted past their targets. The raiders panicked. This was not a battle. This was humiliation. One captain screamed orders to retreat. Engines flared, then died. Not destroyed. Disabled. Perfectly intact but useless. The 30 seconds ended. The human response was precise. Every raider ship lost all external control at once. Hulls remained sealed. Life support continued. No one was harmed. But every system capable of violence went silent. Then something new happened. The raider ships began to move. Not under their own power. They were gently pulled into formation, lined up like trophies. The human warship finally appeared on sensors, not through arrival but through projection. A distant image formed in space, massive and unmistakable. The raiders saw it and understood. They had never been fighting the real thing. The human warship spoke one last time to them. You will be returned. Return did not mean mercy. The raider ships vanished in controlled jumps, not to freedom, but to the heart of the coalition that had hired them. They reappeared in orbit above military worlds, engines dead, weapons locked, proof attached. Along with them came data. Every command. Every payment. Every hidden order. Humanity did not accuse. It presented evidence. Across the galaxy, councils watched the fallout in real time. The coalition that had ordered the test tried to deny involvement. The data erased every lie. Allies withdrew. Trade collapsed. Border systems closed. The punishment did not come from humans. It came from everyone else. The message was clear. Humanity did not need to enforce its rules with destruction. It simply revealed the truth and let the galaxy do the rest. Back near the dead moon, the human captain watched the reports scroll past. Civilian ships were safe. Mining platforms were restored. No lives lost. She allowed herself a slow breath. This was the dangerous part. When others tried to poke at the boundary hoping to find weakness, humanity had planned for this too. An officer approached and spoke quietly. They will keep testing us. The captain nodded. Yes. What happens when someone pushes harder? She looked out at the stars. Then we show them the difference between restraint and refusal. Far away, alien leaders revised their doctrines. Protected space was no longer a suggestion. It was a line backed by certainty. Not enforced by fleets, but by a species that had learned how to end fights before they began. And in the shadows of the galaxy, those who still dreamed of conquest began to fear something new. Not human weapons. Human attention. The galaxy adjusted, but not everyone accepted the new order. While smaller powers backed away from human-protected space, an ancient empire watched in silence. They had ruled star systems before humanity had invented spaceflight. Their fleets had erased civilizations that dared resist. To them, the human warship was impressive but not convincing. Power, they believed, was proven only through destruction. The empire's leaders studied every recording. They saw restraint. They saw patience. And they mistook it for hesitation. They chose not to test the border with raiders or proxies. They chose to make a statement. Without warning, a massive construct appeared near the edge of human-protected space. Not a fleet. A weapon. An artificial moon built around a collapsed star core. It bent gravity, twisted sensors, and drank energy from space itself. Entire systems dimmed as it powered up. The Empire announced its presence openly. This region is now under Imperial review. It was not an invasion. It was a challenge. Across the galaxy, fear returned. Councils panicked. Trade lanes shut down. Many believed this was the moment humanity would be exposed. One ship, no matter how powerful, could not face a weapon that consumed stars. Back near the dead moon, alarms sounded for the first time in years. The human warship detected the construct instantly. Its systems reacted not with confusion but with recognition. This was not new technology. Humanity had encountered similar threats before. Long ago. At great cost. The captain studied the projections in silence. The construct's weapon could tear open space, collapse planets, and leave nothing behind. Restraint would not stop it. For the first time since humanity revealed itself, restraint was no longer enough. The captain opened a secure channel. Authorize escalation, she said calmly. Confirmation came almost immediately. Across human-protected space, something changed. Hidden beacons activated. Not ships. Not weapons. Markers. Old, quiet, and everywhere. Systems the galaxy had never noticed began to align. Space itself seemed to settle like a held breath finally released. The ancient empire detected the change and laughed. They powered their construct to full output. The first shot was aimed at empty space. A warning. The weapon fired, and a distant star folded inward, vanishing in a silent collapse. The message was clear. Humanity had seconds to respond. The human warship moved. Not forward. Down. It sank into a pocket of distorted space that should not have existed. The construct's sensors lost it instantly. The Empire's commanders frowned. They had expected shields, weapons, resistance. Instead, the human ship disappeared. Then the construct began to fail. Not violently. Precisely. Its energy intake fluctuated. The star core inside it lost stability. Control systems reported perfect function, yet outputs dropped. The construct tried to draw more power. Space refused. The human warship reappeared far from its original position, now joined by something else. A shape unfolded beside it, then another, then another. Not ships emerging from hyperspace but from hidden layers of space itself. They were human warships. Different designs. Different sizes. Some scarred and old. Others clean and sharp. All of them radiated the same quiet certainty. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Humanity had not brought a fleet to the border. The border had been the fleet. The ancient empire tried to fire again. The second shot never happened. The human warships did not attack the construct directly. They surrounded the region, forming a vast pattern. Space between them tightened, constrained by forces no one else had mastered. The construct's weapon charged, then failed as its own gravity turned against it. The star core collapsed inward, safely contained, its energy locked in place. The construct was neutralized. Still intact. Still alive. The human captain opened a channel to the Empire. Her voice was no longer tired. "This is where it ends," she said. The Empire demanded surrender. Threatened retaliation. Promised annihilation. The captain listened, then answered. "We warned you." She paused. "You forced us to stop being patient." With a single command, the human fleet acted. The construct was moved. Not destroyed. Folded out of normal space and placed in permanent isolation, its weapon forever silenced. The Empire's fleets, waiting beyond sensor range, suddenly found their jump routes blocked, their communications delayed, their command structures exposed. Humanity did not strike them. It showed them everything it could have done. The Empire withdrew. Not in defeat but in understanding. Across the galaxy, the message spread faster than fear ever had. Humanity was not peaceful because it feared war. Humanity feared war because it knew exactly how to end it. The human warships returned to their hidden layers. Space relaxed. Beacons powered down. The border became invisible once more. Only one ship remained near the dead moon. The first one. The captain stood alone on the bridge, watching the stars burn quietly again. Restraint had failed, but humanity had not. They had crossed the final line, and the galaxy had seen what waited beyond it. Silence returned. This time it was earned. The galaxy did not celebrate. After the ancient empire withdrew, there were no victory signals, no grand announcements. Systems remained quiet, almost afraid to speak too loudly. What humanity had revealed could not be forgotten. Too many eyes had seen it. Too many minds had understood. Humanity was no longer a rumor or a hidden guardian. Humanity was a fact. Across hundreds of systems, governments reacted in different ways. Some rushed to send diplomats, desperate to be first. Others closed their borders, fearing attention. A few began secret weapons programs, convinced that balance required imitation. Fear and respect spread together, tangled and dangerous. On the human warship near the dead moon, the crew felt the change immediately. Signals arrived constantly now. Requests for alliance. Pleas for protection. Warnings of threats real and imagined. Humanity had become a center of gravity, and gravity always pulled things closer. The captain read every report in silence. This had been the risk all along. By stopping the Empire, humanity had proven restraint had limits. The galaxy now knew where that limit was. Some would respect it. Others would try to push it again. An alert broke through the steady flow of information. Not from outside human space. From inside it. A human colony world near the border had gone dark. No distress signal. No warning. Just silence. It was a young settlement, lightly defended, focused on research and civilian growth. Nothing of military value. The captain's jaw tightened. This was not a test. This was retaliation. Long-range scans detected residual distortions near the colony's star. Signs of technology similar to the Empire's construct, but smaller, more desperate. A parting weapon. A final insult. The Empire had obeyed the withdrawal, but not before leaving a blade in the dark. The colony was still there. But something was wrong. The human warship moved at once. As it crossed the distance, fragments of information came through. The colony's star was unstable, its output fluctuating in unnatural patterns. The planet remained intact, but gravity storms tore at its surface. Cities were standing, but power grids failed, atmosphere thinning slowly. The colony was dying. Not destroyed. Trapped in a slow collapse. The captain stood on the bridge as the planet filled the view screen. Clouds churned violently. Oceans rose and fell in massive tides. Millions of lives balanced on a narrowing edge. This was what restraint had cost. The crew did not wait for orders. Humanity had faced worse before. The warship deployed systems never meant to be used this way. Fields designed to restrain weapons were reconfigured to restrain a star. Layers of control wrapped around the system, stabilizing output, calming gravity, buying time. But time was all it could buy. The damage was deep. Engineers worked without pause. Calculations filled the ship's core. Options vanished one by one. Evacuation would take months the colony did not have. Destroying the star was unthinkable. Then a junior officer spoke softly. There is one option. All eyes turned. It was old theory. Dangerous. And used. A method of transferring stellar instability into controlled space, bleeding it away slowly instead of containing it. It required something massive. Something resilient. Something willing to absorb the strain. Something like the human warship. The captain understood instantly. Using the ship this way would scar it forever. Systems would burn out. Entire sections might never function again. It might never stand alone against an armada after this. But it would save the colony. She did not hesitate. Begin the transfer. The warship moved closer to the star, closer than any ship had a right to be. Its hull glowed as systems overloaded, layers of protection straining. The crew felt the vibration through the decks as the ship took the star's pain into itself. Space screamed. The transfer began slowly, then faster. The star stabilized inch by inch. On the planet below, winds eased. Gravity storms weakened. Atmosphere levels rose. People survived. On the bridge, warning lights filled every surface. Entire systems shut down to prevent collapse. The ship's frame bent, not breaking but enduring. This was what it had been built for. Hours passed. When the transfer ended, the star burned steady once more. The colony lived. The human warship drifted, wounded and silent. Repairs would take years. Some systems would never recover. The ship that had frozen an armada could no longer do so alone. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the event. They saw the ship absorb a star's fury. They saw humanity sacrifice power without being asked. And something changed. Fear softened. Respect deepened. Messages arrived, not demanding protection, but offering help. Engineers. Resources. Knowledge. Species that had once planned conquest now offered cooperation. Not because they were forced. Because they had seen what humanity chose to do with power. The captain stood in the quiet bridge, watching the colony's world stabilize on the screen. The crew worked in exhausted silence, pride unspoken but shared. Humanity had been seen at its strongest. Now the galaxy had seen it at its most vulnerable. And still no one dared move against it. Because strength, once proven, did not vanish when it chose to protect instead of threaten. The warship remained near the colony, damaged but unbroken. Humanity stayed exactly where it belonged. Between the galaxy and its own worst instincts. The human warship stayed near the wounded colony long after the danger passed. It did not hide its damage. Burned sections of hull were visible even from orbit. Systems that once bent space itself were silent, locked down to prevent collapse. The ship that had frozen an armada now moved carefully, like an old warrior walking after a hard battle. The galaxy watched. For the first time, humanity did not project strength. It projected endurance. Relief fleets arrived from human space. Civilian engineers, medical ships, atmospheric stabilizers. They worked without hurry, without panic. This was not the first time humanity had rebuilt something broken. It was a familiar rhythm. What surprised the galaxy was who came next. Non-human ships appeared at the edges of the system. Slowly. Respectfully. They did not cross into orbit without permission. They did not activate weapons. They sent offers instead. Materials. Energy reserves. Specialists. Knowledge exchanged across species that had once shared nothing but suspicion. The colony became a gathering point. Not a capital. Not a fortress. A promise. The human captain accepted help without pride and without submission. Every contribution was acknowledged. Every species was treated as an equal. Humanity did not claim credit for saving the colony. It simply continued working. This, more than any weapon, changed everything. Far away, the ancient empire watched in silence. They had expected humanity to punish them eventually, to strike back once the colony was safe. The strike never came. Instead, something worse happened. The galaxy stopped listening to them. Trade routes shifted. Alliances dissolved quietly. Their words carried less weight in councils where they once dominated. They had revealed their nature, and humanity had revealed an alternative. Power without cruelty. Strength without hunger. The empire withdrew inward, not defeated by fleets, but isolated by comparison. Back near the colony, the human warship underwent repairs. Some scars could not be erased. Sections of the ship were permanently fused, systems rewritten to adapt. The vessel would never be the same again. That was acceptable. The captain stood before the observation window as the star burned steadily once more. She knew this ship's era as a solitary guardian was ending. Not because it was weak, but because the galaxy had changed around it. Humanity no longer needed to stand alone. A final message was prepared. Not a warning. Not a declaration. A record. It was sent across known space, translated into hundreds of languages. It showed the Armada frozen in fear. It showed the construct silenced without destruction. It showed a star stabilized at the cost of a warship's strength. And it ended with a single sentence. We choose what we protect. No borders were listed. No threats were made. The meaning was clear. In councils across the galaxy, that sentence was debated, argued, feared, admired. But it was never ignored. Every species understood the truth behind it. Humanity would not rule. Humanity would not chase conquest. But if something threatened what humanity chose to protect, the response would not be loud. It would be final. Years later, new ships would be built. Stronger. Smarter. Designed not just to deter war, but to prevent it entirely. Other species would contribute. Shared systems would emerge. Joint patrols. Mutual defense born not from fear, but from trust. Historians would argue about when the balance of the galaxy truly changed. Some would point to the moment the Armada froze. Others to the silencing of the ancient construct. Most would agree it was this moment instead. When a damaged human warship absorbed a star's fury to save a world that was not strategically important, not wealthy, not powerful. Just alive. The warship eventually departed the colony. It did not return to the dead moon. Its patrol route changed, slower now, more visible. It became something new. A symbol. When ships encountered it in deep space, they did not raise weapons. They adjusted course slightly, a gesture of respect that spread quietly from system to system. Children on distant worlds learned the story. Not of a battle, but of a silence so heavy it stopped an armada. Of a species that waited, watched, endured, and chose restraint until restraint was no longer enough. Humanity did not shock the galaxy with destruction. It stunned it with control. And long after the echoes of fear faded, one truth remained, carved into galactic memory. When humanity finally allowed itself to be seen, the galaxy learned that the most terrifying thing was not human rage. It was human resolve.